This is Lamoille View, episode 6, and as we like to start every show, we come right in and talk to Tess Milner, who is the executive director of the Lamoille Chamber of Commerce. Tess, how are things going at the Chamber?
Doing really well, being really busy at the Chamber. We're going through our legislative updates, so that's really exciting. The next one is Monday, February 22nd at 8 a.m. If anyone wants to register, then they can send me an email at executivedirector@lamoillechamber.com. And if you happen to have any questions for your local representatives, you can send those along too. So that's really exciting. We had a great turnout for our first one, and we're really looking forward to the next one. Something else we're working on for the month of February is a Show Some Love for Local marketing campaign, which is basically supporting our members and the local economy. And so we're making some suggestions on what you can do to support our local businesses.
That's excellent. Yeah, so many exciting things happening right now in Lamoille County, and we're getting closer and closer to spring. Have you heard from some other businesses and some other organizations any plans for any spring events?
Not as of yet. Moving forward, we are looking to collaborate with other local area organizations to have some informative workshops and things of that nature, but nothing really on the horizon as of yet. I think everyone is kind of poised and ready to pounce for spring, outdoor activities. We're all looking forward to the warmer weather when we can get outside and do it safely too.
Excellent. So, with that said, we're going to jump right into our featured content, and we'll talk to you again next week, Tess.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Here at the Lamoille View, we always like to interview some of our chamber members, and here with us is Clarissa French from United Way of Lamoille County and Greg Stefanski from Capstone. Greg and Clarissa, thank you for joining us, and we're excited to talk a little bit about the Working Communities Challenge.
Yeah, the implementation phase kicked off in January, but we've been working through a planning grant for the year before that.
Excellent. So talk about to our viewers and listeners what exactly the Working Communities Challenge is and how it will benefit Lamoille County.
So thanks, Josh, first of all, for having us. Really excited to talk about the Working Communities Challenge. So where this began, the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston has been taking a look at communities throughout the Northeast and had kicked off something quite a few years ago called the Working Cities Challenge. And Vermont was the first state that they looked at to launch the Working Communities Challenge. And the idea behind both is the same. How do you build a strong economy and a healthy community? And so they basically put that on the table and let communities decide how they might interpret that or what they might focus on. And so our community brought together a group of folks from the human services sector, nonprofit, some of our health partners, business partners, higher ed, local tech center, to see what that phrase meant for our community. And where we landed is having an interest in employment transitions, and particularly young people coming into employment, folks who are exiting full-time employment, maybe at the end of their career, and then also folks who are experiencing transitions due to substance issues. And so we brought a group of folks together, applied for a planning grant. We were one of 8 communities in the state of Vermont that received a planning grant. And after a year, we fine-tuned a proposal, and we were awarded one of 4 implementation grants. So we'll be receiving a little over $300,000 spread out over 3 years to support improving those transitions that happen for people in employment. So we want to focus on decreasing our unemployment number, and at the same time increase the quality of employment experiences that folks have. And so the United Way, under Clarissa and Ellen's leadership, is partnering with me over at Capstone, and we've got about 15 partner organizations, and we're going to see what we can do over the next 3 years.
So Clarissa, talk to us about what the United Way's part is in this as well.
Yeah, so thank you for having us again. I should have said that at the beginning. So the backbone organizations, we've split up the functions. Sometimes within a WCC opportunity, there's just one backbone organization, but Capstone and some other organizations were leading the charge and asked United Way if they wanted to be involved. And so what we did was Capstone is responsible for supporting and hiring the director, and United Way is responsible for supporting and hiring a navigator for our info hub and resource center. And we're kind of looking at all the ways that that can be made possible. But in addition to that, we're also sort of filling a supervisory role with Capstone of the project in general, and kind of helping to coordinate everyone and to implement strategic planning practices, et cetera.
And for people that are Lamoille, our fellow Lamoille Chamber members, where can they learn more about? We'll learn more about the Working Communities Challenge.
That's a really good question. So we don't have a centralized place quite yet. I know that we at United Way are looking at putting up some information on our website just related to the work that we're doing. I would imagine Capstone's probably going to do something similar. And then our resource hub is kind of more of a physical product of some of what's happening with the WCC. And as that changes and evolves, that's going to be evidence of the WCC at work. And hopefully at some point we'll have a kind of a central place, or at least, access on either website for people to get information.
Great.
Yeah, Josh, and I'd really encourage, if folks haven't checked out the United Way's resource page, that was really Clarissa, under Clarissa's leadership, has been focused for supports for people who've been impacted by COVID. It's a really amazing site, definitely worth checking out. And it gives you a little bit of an idea of where we want to go with this work. Looking at all those different ways that people might be impacted. So obviously if someone doesn't have housing, that's going to make it difficult to maintain employment. If they don't have transportation, if they're struggling with medical issues. And so the resource page that Clarissa works on with Emily Rosenbaum has all the information for the resources right here in our community. And I think over time, what we'll be doing is honing in on which of those barriers are the ones that are getting in people's way the most. And especially for some of our marginalized populations here in our community. That might be related to race, that might be related to age. It might be there are a whole host of factors, but our goal under the Working Communities Challenge is to figure out what are the barriers that are getting in the way most, and what can we do? Is this a barrier we can knock down? Is this one we need to just go around and find a new path? But that resource page and getting an understanding of how people in our community have been impacted over these last 10 months give you a little glimpse of what our work's going to look like over these next 3 years.
Right, great. And yeah, and you do bring up a good point. Like Clarissa's been working very hard on that. So like Clarissa, what's the website address for that if they want to see that landing page?
Yeah, so it's uwlamoille.org/get-help. And there's some cards circulating right now. Emily's been working really hard to get out business cards that have a URL and a QR code that link directly to that site. And she's also been largely responsible for keeping it updated and making sure that, that information goes out in the newsletter that she sends out every week. So yeah, it's fantastic. She's also reached out to a lot of the schools and had them, kind of sending that information along to the students and the parents so that they can also easily access that information.
That's great. Yeah, and Clarissa and Greg, thank you so much for this. The Working Communities Challenge sounds like it's going to be fantastic opportunity for Lamoille County. And thank you so much for all the hard work you're doing for it.
Great. Yeah, thank you for having us. Thanks for putting this podcast out there.
You're welcome.
You're welcome, Josh. Thank you so much. Thanks, Chamber.
All right, and this is going to be episode 6. So
Wow.
yeah,
Yes.
Cool. All right,
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right, here we go. All right, and 3, 2, 1.